Well, hello. Let's see. I am giving this a try. Well, hello, Vincent. How are you? So, how did I cure? Well, I think we've talked before, Vincent. I believe so. I believe you're a bodybuilder, correct? And I don't know. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, can you type yes? This is the first time I've actually done this. So, okay. So, you're still having issues? I mean, it was I'll just say this, it was a it's a slow process. And it's difficult. If you want to go the natural route, it is very difficult because that takes longer and it takes more of a mindset and it takes, a lot of trial and error. And so, it's one of those things that everybody reacts differently to their situation and how their body's just going to react to everything. I mean, I happened to find the right doctors at the right time. The first doctor was, at least in the US, that it was a chiropractor, which at the time I was in Chicago, Illinois. And in Chicago, a chiropractor can practice homeopathic, holistic medicine without prescribing medication. And so, it was one of those things where he had to find out what was going on inside me. Initially, found out I had a couple of parasites. Now, I had ulcerative colitis for several years, but it was on and off. I was in and out of remission and symptoms and things like that. But maybe getting the parasites is what really threw me off track and nearly killed me. That's where I lost a lot of weight very, very quickly. So, I happened to find the right doctor at the right time because I went through 4 different GI doctors and they all pretty much told me the exact same things, the exact same protocol. And it was Lialda, which was medication. That's medication that they say coats the inside of your colon, kind of a very milky substance. The capsules and everything are not supposed to break up until they actually reach your colon. And then it's supposed to break up in there and then cut everything. But it doesn't really heal the problem. If it just coats that, whenever it wears away, then the ulcers are still there. So you've got to find out, what's happening at that point. But every GI doctor I saw, four in a row, all said the same thing: Lialda, steroids, then Humira, which is injections or things like that, and then I was at the point where they wanted to start me on Remicade. And also, if that didn't work, then their suggestion was cut out my colon. And to do that at any age is, I think, absolutely horrific. It's terrible. I've spent a lot of time on the online community talking to people, and I, anybody that's had a surgery or anything like that is just, there's always more and more complications. And I don't even know if that really directly cures you, but at the same time, I understand the pain and the problems that you have to go through. And I was broken mentally at one point. I mean, they could have cut out my whole entire stomach. They could have cut off my leg. I didn't care, if it hadn't been support from, my wife at the time and family and just, people there to help me through that, then, maybe I wouldn't have a colon, because I don't know if I would have survived that. So it's one of those things where, uh, let's see, Javi Moreno, you're welcome. And, finding the right doctors. I think one of the things is you've got to figure out how to suppress or reduce the ulcers in your colon first, because you've got to be able to, help them out to be able to get to a healing process. Once you can do that, that's kind of the key point. I think for me, I know the doctor prescribed, or didn't prescribe, but gave me diatomaceous clay capsules, and I was taking 15 a day. Now, essentially, the clay was there to kill the parasites, to suffocate them. I think inadvertently on that, you think about if you swallow dirt, you can use dirt to put out a fire. And if you think about, you got a fire in your gut or a fire in your colon, I mean, that's technically what that ulcer is. And so I think the clay capsules helped just kind of smother out a lot of the inflammation in my colon, because I was taking 15 capsules of that per day. And it is, I just think that helped get everything under control. It was after that point 2 weeks, but that took 2 weeks. So imagine that, 2 weeks of taking 15 capsules a day just of the clay, and actually had me on 30 other supplements. So 45 supplements a day, and I could barely swallow water at that point. So that's very, very difficult to do. I remember it took me all day to get down those 45 supplements, because I had zero appetite. My body was just like, don't put anything inside of it or it's going to spit it back up, or shit it out. And that was just, it was terrible. It was literally, I had to force feed or be force fed these capsules every day. And it would take me almost 8 hours just to get those down. And then, of course, that was irritating at first. So then I spent a lot of time in the bathroom and everything like that. So I think the clay capsules really help suppress the fire in my colon, which, my colonoscopy was horrific. And let me see if I can pull up a picture. It's one of those things where, what's the question here? What do I think ulcerative colitis is? I mean, that's what it is. It's ulcers in your colon. But here's the problem, is that everything out there is just really meant to, as far as medically, medication is just meant to suppress symptoms. So what you eat does matter. Most medical doctors will tell you, or at least they told me, diet doesn't matter. I think now some are kind of getting more on the fact that diet does matter. And they're even recommending to stay away from ibuprofen and Tylenol, things like that, because those are pretty bad gut busters as far as causing inflammation and ulcers in the colon and the stomach. But it's one of those things where, you think about it, you get a canker sore, or if you took a potato peeler and actually took off a little chunk of your skin, that's what's happening. Is if you take your skin's a protective layer, and ultimately that's, you have a protective layer in your colon. So if that gets kind of ripped away, well, then you have all the nerves and everything else exposed at that point. Now, anytime food goes in there and touches that, food, water, whatever, that's, to me, that's what the urgency is because you get any type of food or substance in your water. Think about it. If you had a open wound on your finger and I just touched it, or put food on it, or salt or water or anything like that, then your initial reaction is to jerk away. I mean, you're going to pull away, right? So you think about that inside your colon, you have an ulcer that's exposed, and food is going to go in there. I mean, if your colon is that big around, well, the food's going to touch it. And as soon as it touches it, your body's going to say, boom, get rid of it. And that's where the urgency comes from, I believe, is that once it touches that, your colon saying, whoa, get away from me. And then depending on how diseased your colon is, of course, the worse, anything that gets in there, even water. For me, even water was terrible. So thank you, Vincent. Very good explanation. So that's what you've got to do. That thing. Same thing with your skin. If you have an open wound on your skin, you've got to be able to close that. Now, to me, you've got to be able, if you think about it. I mean, people do the survivalist or things like that. I used to be in the military. You can put dirt on an open wound to help seal that up, but you've got to be able to, you want to, put something on there to smother it. Now, the problem is with typical medication, like Lialda or something like that, it's a coating medication. So there's nothing in there that actually helps heal the ulcer. So it just puts a little coat over it. So that gives you the temporary symptom relief, because it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on that finger. If you bump your finger, you'll probably still feel it during the day, but it's not going to be as sensitive because you have the Band-Aid as a barrier. Well, it's the same, but you take that Band-Aid off at the end of the day, well, then everything's exposed again. And because you didn't get air or something like that to help seal the wound, it's going to be moist and still exposed. And so you got to think about that inside your colon, which is extremely difficult to be able to manage. How do I heal an open wound inside my colon? So for me, I think 15 clay capsules a day for 2 weeks kind of pretty much smothered out the ulcers and gave my body a chance to help heal those. And you think about it, your body wants to heal the problems inside of it. It wants to. I think prescription medication, things like that, get in the way of that, because it's literally designed just to shut off symptoms or shut off pain to your brain or shut off symptoms inside the body. But food and supplements is there to help your body do what it's having trouble doing. So at that point, you've got to think about, okay, I got to snuff out the fire. So if you're out camping and you want to snuff out the fire and you kick dirt on it, it's going to smother it. So I think that is one way. I'm not saying that's the only way. I think that's what initially helped me, because after 2 weeks, it was just, I was able to gain back my appetite and able to start eating, and my bowel movements and bathroom trips reduced significantly. So let me see, Mr. Vincent, able to eat only one food. Tried the juice. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. I mean, it's all trial and error. And that's what makes it so difficult too, is that you've got to really kind of experience. Now, also at that point, while I was taking those capsules, I went on a chicken broth diet. So during those 2 weeks as well, I was just eating chicken broth, which is difficult to do because I was hungry. But at the same time, every time I would eat, it would make me go to the bathroom. So it's a catch-22. It's very difficult to balance that. So, and then after about a week or so, then started to throw an egg in there, or 2 eggs, and kind of poach to where they were still very yolky. And information is out about eggs. Some natural doctors will tell you the eggs are the most beneficial, the most healing. Some say they're not as good for you. So again, it's just one of those situations where you've got to figure out what works for you and how that affects your body. And I just got to the point to where I was so sensitive to everything that I just knew if I was eating something or drinking something, was it helping or hurting me? And so after the 15 clay capsules a day for 2 weeks, chicken broth with eggs for 2 weeks, that's whenever the cramping stop. I was having terrible, terrible gut cramps, or maybe colon cramps from the pain every 10 to 20 minutes. I mean, it would bring tears to my eyes because they were so, I mean, just gut wrenching, buckle me over, and it would just hurt. So that could have been the parasites. I don't know, but after about 2 weeks, they just stopped. Now, the other thing that helped me get through that, one of the doctors recommended me, Dr. Mike, he told me to get coconut oil with peppermint oil. Peppermint oil helps relieve cramps, and I would kept a little bowl beside my couch and bed, and it it was crazy because I'd get coconut oil and put in the peppermint oil, mix that up, and once I'd start to cramp, I'd take out a little goop of that and rub it on my stomach, and somehow that it would help the cramping stop at that point. So, that's one of those things where I don't know how to explain that, but apparently peppermint oil is good for cramping. How it works that fast, I'm not sure, but it does work. But you do want to mix it inside of coconut oil or something like that. Castor oil, another carrier oil you don't just want to put the straight peppermint oil on your stomach. So that's what really helped get me through those 2 weeks. So clay capsules, chicken broth, eggs in the chicken broth, and peppermint oil mixed in with coconut oil. And that's how I was able to actually kind of get out of the woods. I mean, that stopped the cramping, helped me gain my appetite back. And then at that point, I was able to just eat and and eat and eat. I was so hungry because for 3 months I was just on my deathbed and I'd lost 50 pounds. And I was just trying to make that up, just eat, and I was able to start eating about 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners a day, plus snacks. Have some muffins. Had these gluten-free banana muffins beside my bed, 2 or 3, because I'd wake up at 2 in the morning and be hungry and just eat. And the doctor said my body just wanted to consume so much, and that it just was looking for that nourishment. So I was probably eating I was on like the Michael Phelps diet, eating 5,000 calories a day, just trying to replenish. And I didn't gain any weight for 3 weeks. I mean, zero. I was just literally eating almost everything. My bowel movements, my bathroom trips went down to almost very normal, 3 to 4 times a day versus 24 times a day. At that point, I had been in the bathroom at least every hour. I was sleep deprived. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. All right, Vincent, where can you get clay capsules, man? Amazon. I mean, Amazon for everything, right? And Javi, Javi, I hope that answered your question about ulcerative colitis. What do I think it is? If you're still there, Vincent, I know you're my biggest fan. Man, you got to hang in there. You got to keep experimenting. Get some clay capsules. Try to reduce the complex foods for the time being. So maybe chicken broth and eggs might be something you try out. Depends on what you have access to as well. So, or soup that is, where whatever's in that soup is extremely cooked so that digestion is minimal at that point. So, that's just one of the things that you got to kind of experiment. And it's really, really hard to do that in the beginning because, I know the amount of pain and the suffering that you're going through at that point. So, it's very, very difficult. If you've got a family member or a spouse or something like that, really lean on them for support and let them know that, you want to try some different things, and you just got to keep working on that. On top of that, you've got to find a good natural doctor in your area that's close to you, at least in the beginning. I didn't leave my house for almost 3 months until I found Dr. Mike and Dr. Roy, and then I was only leaving, once a week to go see them. And even at that point, I was scared to death to go outside, and I was afraid of having an accident. We actually would take a beach towel in the car with us to go to the doctor, even though he's only 10 minutes away. But that's how unsure I was of getting to the doctor safely without making a mess. I mean, that is just, it's a terrible way to live, but I believe that all the people I've talked to online, everyone that's been cured has done so naturally. And it just blows my mind that the medical community will still say that there is no cure, period. But for me, it's been 6 years. 6 years. 6 years, zero issues. Zero issues. Not a drop of blood, no urgency, normal bowel movements, regular. I mean, it's tremendous. And they would say a cancer patient is cured after 5 years in remission. So why can't we be cured after 5 years in remission? Sandra, sorry if I said that incorrectly. Sandra, Plant Paradox by Dr. Gundry. Really strict diet. Yeah. So Plant Paradox, I've read Dr. Gundry's book. I've also read his recent book, The Longevity Paradox. I like it a lot. So very, very good stuff. I believe in that. I believe in the blood type diet. I think the blood type diet also helped me quite a bit because I found out I'm an A blood type, and I grew up in Texas. I grew up in Texas where it was always beef and barbecue and brisket and pork and hamburgers and everything. Well, I'm an A blood type, which is the vegetarian geared lifestyle. So that much beef, I do believe, screws up my digestion. So I cut out beef. I haven't eaten beef in 6 years, 5 years. I believe that was a big part of my recovery as well. And it was hard. I went through withdrawals at first for about 30 days, but you get used to it. I don't crave beef at all now whatsoever. It doesn't matter to me. I would rather be healthy than be sick. And I don't understand that when there are people that'll say, well, I'm going to eat what I want, or I'm sick anyway, so I'm just going to do what I want. No, you've got to buckle down. You've got to be disciplined. You've got to say, look, if I don't feel good after I eat this, then I'm not going to do it. Once you break through that, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to be healthy than it is to be sick. And I don't miss all the foods that I cut out. I think I could eat beef now and not have a problem, but it's not something that, I've done this long without it, so I'm not really concerned about it. I will eat fish. I cut out chicken about 2 years ago, so I even have gotten off fish. I'm really about 90% vegetarian now. And I still weigh 185 pounds. So not to show off, but, being vegetarian or 90% vegetarian, I eat fish maybe once, maybe twice a week. If we go out to a restaurant or something like that, and I don't want to get too picky, then normally there's a good fish dish at the restaurant. But so the Plant Paradox, Longevity Paradox, that's what's funny is he talks a lot about lectins, and that being in tomato peels and things like that. So, that's funny is for me, nightshades or tomatoes and bell peppers and those types of things are already on my bad list as a blood type. So it's something that I've been avoiding anyways for several years. Now I'll have some salsa occasionally here or there, but not every single day. I could eat it every day. I love it, but it's just one of those things where I don't do it. So, but I believe a lot what Dr. Gundry has to say. So I think that's good information if you look into that. and olive oil, vegetarian. He talks a lot about blue zones where the people in the world live the longest or live over 100 years old, and they follow mostly vegetarian diets. So that's that is something with some fish in there as well, and that's it. I believe diet is everything. So you got to figure out what's working for you and what will help you get to that point to where you can go into remission, because remission is what's going to get you cured. And once you go into remission, then you can start focusing on more foods that are going to be healing for you. And that's the thing, is that you focus on those foods that are healing for you, then that's where you're going to build up. And I feel like now I have the strongest immune system I've had in my entire life. And actually, I don't even get sick anymore. I don't even get colds or the flu. I haven't gotten a cold or the flu in the last 5 years. And I believe that is because I am making my immune system stronger. That's what blood type diet is about. And actually, that's what plant paradox and longevity paradox is about eating to boost your immune system. And a blood type diet means you eat foods that are easily digestible with your blood type, and therefore that's going to keep your immune system at high functioning levels, because it's not bogged down by digestion, and you don't have food permeating or fermenting or rotting in your gut and in your colon and things like that. So same thing with and longevity paradox, Dr. Gundry talks about, is that the most important thing is keeping your gut bacteria in check, keeping it flourishing, eating foods that really feed the good gut bacteria. And that's something that I've been doing after reading that over the past 4 or 5 months. And now I feel like my digestion is at an all-time high functioning level. And I attribute that to just adding in some plantains. There's a brand of chips called Terra, Terra, and they make just straight plantain chips in coconut oil and salt. And so Dr. Gundry talks about eating resistant starches that feeds your gut bacteria. That's plantains and sweet potatoes are kind of the main ones, or other types of root vegetables, cassava, things like that. So I've been eating, a little bit of the plantain chips every day. I've incorporated that, and that's really helping out quite a bit, I think. And on top of that, I've started my morning with 16 ounces of water and a shot of apple cider vinegar. So I think that has helped restore my gut bacteria more than anything over the past 2 months. I've been doing that. And waking up, because I also do intermittent fasting, so I'm not eating breakfast. I also think intermittent fasting is very, very good for your gut, because you're compacting your food and whatever you're eating into a small window, an 8-hour window, and there you're giving your body 16 hours to rest for digestion. Makes a lot of sense to me. Ever since I went to intermittent fasting about 2 years ago, I love it, because I always felt full all the time. I always felt like I wasn't properly digesting my food. I was bloated because I was used to this mentality of you got to eat 6 small meals, or I wanted to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner and a snack in between. And I just always felt full. And therefore, I'm putting my digestion on work 16 hours a day versus 8. And so now I eat lunch and dinner. I eat at 12 and 7 p.m. And sometimes I might have a little snack in between, but it may be a piece of fruit or something like that. And it really, really works well for me. I mean, it is tremendous. I mean, like I said, I feel better than ever from blood type diet, intermittent fasting, 16 ounces of water with a shot of apple cider vinegar in there to start off the day. It's 0 calories as well, so it doesn't affect your your metabolism or your fasting. I used to start off my day with water and lemon, but the lemon's a little too acidic for me. It would always usually makes me get canker sores inside my mouth a lot. So I switched to apple cider vinegar. Now that is crazy. Sandra, I tend to do great for 6 weeks. Then I crash. Sugar is my weakness, and it always kicks in a flare. How can I get over my sugar addiction? You lost 100. Wow. I don't know if losing 100 pounds is a good or bad. I mean, if you lost it due to sickness, I mean, sugar addiction. Well, how do you get over sugar? I mean, I think it's how you get over anything. And I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, Sandra, but to me, it's a lot easier to be healthy than it is to be sick. And so you got to get in your own head whenever, if you feel that craving coming on, you've got to say, okay, the short-term benefit of eating this sugar right now is not worth the long-term results. Period. That's what you got to tell yourself. And you got to make that conscious decision. Don't know what type of sugar you're eating, but if you sit there and you go, oh, I really, really want this, you got to say no. What I eat in the next 5 minutes is going to affect me for the next 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours. That's the way you've got to think about it. And if you don't eat that sugar, ice cream, or candy bar, or whatever it is, you just say, you put it to the side, then you've just given your body another chance to heal and relax and heal and regenerate and do what it needs to do. But every time you do something to compromise it, then you're just prolonging that. So you got to get to a point to where, food every day is a conscious decision, and what's worth it for you. So if you know that's your weakness, then number one, I would get whatever I have in the house out of the house, whatever it is. And you'll find if you can get over it for 2 to 4 weeks, I think you'll find you won't crave it anymore. That's usually how it worked for me, how it works with other people that I talk to. I mean, there is a little bit of um, a time where you're going, man, this sucks. But at the same time, if you're not in the bathroom shitting your brains out, then that's better, right? That's what I would say. I mean, that's where I would rather be. I'd rather be sitting here, talking to you than running back and forth to the bathroom, because I've been there before, and I hate it. So, you just got to really work on that. You got to focus on food is a conscious decision every single day. And every single day, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either moving towards getting better, or you're going to stay the same, or actually you're not going to stay the same. You're either going to get better or worse. So you're either moving towards healing or you're moving away from it. And I believe that's completely driven by food and supplementation, which you need. I don't take a lot of supplements anymore because I feel like I get what I need from my food. So, and that's the thing. Supplements are there to supplement. It's there to help you to get what you're not getting out of food. And so I needed a lot of that in the beginning. And I used to feel, you'd be surprised, once you start making food a conscious decision and really paying attention to your body. I mean, I feel like my body tells me all the time, what does it want? What does it crave? I mean, I crave vegetarian meals now. That's what I want. And my mind has been reprogrammed. And I look at, if I go out with friends and they throw a slab of beef or get a steak or something, I look at it and I go, man, that looks amazing, but oh well, doesn't matter to me. Looks good, but it's not worth the risk. It's just not worth doing that. It's not worth it. So that's what you've got to look at. Whatever your crutch is with sugar, if it's in the house, you got to get it out. And if you're going out and about and you know that there's certain places that it's going to be at, you've got to avoid that somehow. You got to do that, so to speak, to help you get over that initial craving. At that point, once you get over it, then it's not going to be an issue. I'll go to a steakhouse. Uh, I'll walk by, sometimes the steakhouses downtown, they'll have all the meat hanging in the window in their little cured room, and I'll look at them and I just think, man, that looks amazing. But, oh well, don't care. Not going to go eat it. Same thing with ice cream now. I used to love ice cream, but cut it out. And if I have it now, it may be once every 6 months. And usually afterwards, I don't feel great. It doesn't trigger anything. I have done some testing, a lot of testing, but I waited until 5 years. So this last year, once I hit the 5 years of remission to where I considered myself cured, this last year, I've done some testing, eat some ice cream, because I was very strict for the 5 years. So I would try a couple of different things, but the reality is I don't have a taste for ice cream and steaks anymore. That's just the way it is. But I do know once I had ice cream, I didn't feel great afterwards. I had a kind of a stomach ache. It didn't cause me any problems, didn't cause me any bleeding or trips to the bathroom, any additional trips or anything like that. So yeah, Vincent, I believe now, yes, I could eat whatever I want. I truly believe that. But I choose to just maintain where I'm at because I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm happy with my food choices. And I thought I would never be that guy because, again, growing up in Texas, where it's beef and brisket and barbecue, then it's interesting. It makes for an interesting conversation as well. So, it's one of those things. So, is there any other questions? It's almost 11 a.m. my time. I'm still in Texas. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And it's time. Like I said, I normally eat at 12 and 7, but sometimes I'll eat at 11. I actually have a 12 o'clock appointment with a client and a 1:30 appointment and a 4:45 appointment. So I'm going to eat an hour early because I have a 12 o'clock appointment. So I'm about to go. There's actually great, if you're in the US, the only fast food restaurants I would recommend is a Zoe's Kitchen or a Chipotle. And I love those. I love those places. I was thinking I think I'll go over to Zoe's right now. It's a Mediterranean, but it's a fast food, so to speak, but it's Mediterranean. They use local ingredients, local farmers, and things like that. So they have several locations, but they use local farms and people in that area. But I'll go and I'll get a vegetable plate. They've got great roasted vegetables, turmeric rice, grilled potatoes. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Can I upload videos of my meals? Yeah, I need to do that, Javi. And I need to do that. So I'll work on that. Hello from Poland. Hey, I'm Polish. That's my last name is Polish. Mr. Yo, bro. It's almost 6 p.m. in Poland. Welcome. But yes, my last name is actually Polish. So that's where my grandparents are from. And please take care. Thank you. Yep. Vincent, have a good day. Get well, my friend. There is hope. Just you got to trial and error, figure out what's going on. And Javi from Mexico. All right. And I think Vincent's from India. So we got the whole world on here. We've got Poland, we've got Mexico, we've got India. Vincent, you're from India, right? I believe so. Sandra Lee, not sure where she's from. he or she. But yeah, I mean, I get comments all the time. A lot of people from India. I don't know what's going on in India, but I do get a lot of comments from India. Nuevo Leon, Mexico. Javi. Cool name, Javi. I like that. So again, just I'll work. I need to work on more videos. Honestly, that is, I try to contribute as much as possible to this community, and I do run a business, and it's just I try to give back as much as I can. Yeah, Vincent from India. So everything I provide, I just try to offer to help you guys out. I want you. I know I've been there. It's a terrible, terrible disease, but you've got to focus on the positives. You got to focus on your mind, staying strong, and glutamine, probiotics. Yeah, probiotics. I would take I don't take a lot of probiotics now because I believe I get that from apple cider vinegar, and so I'll supplement once in a while with probiotics. I'll also try to eat some fermented food or coconut yogurt. If you can find some coconut yogurt that's non-dairy, then that has some probiotics, that's a good way as well. Plus, live fruit, raw fruit has the best form of probiotics. But you got to eat the ends, the little fuzzy parts. If you ever look at a date, or an apple, actually, hold on one second. I'll show you. So there's one doctor that reads that says, if you want the very best live probiotics, you see the little fuzzy part in there in the apple. So you eat that. That most of the time I used to always cut that out, right, and throw that away. But there's one doctor that says that this is where all the good probiotics are on the fruit. So now I eat that part. Just take a big bite. Look I've got some dates right here. These are raw organic dates. You see that? See all that fuzziness right there? So if it's organic, it shouldn't be treated with any chemicals or pesticides. So it says that that fuzzy part is actually probiotics. That's the good probiotics right there. And so I don't wash off my organic fruit. It's a big old pit. So I don't wash off my organic fruit anymore. And maybe, Sandra, maybe that helps with your sugar craving, is you should try some fruit maybe instead of whatever it is. So, but that's it for me today, guys. I think I'm going to try to do this a little bit more often. I just figured this out. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope you found some information helpful. And thanks for hopping on, guys and girls. If you're out there from all over the world, I'll jump on again sometime soon and appreciate it. So enjoy, have a good day, get well, eat right, stay strong. You can beat this. You can beat this, believe me. I didn't think it was possible either at one point. It's very hard, but you can. All right. Bye bye.